Hello, good evening and welcome to Parliament News. I'm Gautam Roy. Let's tell you what happened in the Lok Sabha first. Well, the Lok Sabha has passed the National Anti-Doping Bill 2021 today after discussion and reply by Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur. The bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha in December last year and had undergone the scrutiny of a parliamentary committee. The bill seeks to provide statutory framework for the functioning of the National Anti-Doping Agency and the National Dope Testing Laboratory. It aims at curbing drug abuse in Indian sports. It was introduced in the House in the last winter session and then it was sent to a parliamentary panel which has made certain recommendations. Moving the National Anti-Doping Bill 2021, Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur recalled the achievements of Indian sportspersons in recent past and expressed hope that Indians will win more medals in international tournaments in future. Initiating the discussion, Manoj Tiwari of the BJP said the bill will prevent unnecessary litigation between sportsperson and NADA, which currently does not have legislative backing. He also underlined the need for educating sportspersons about the perils of doping and using banned performance-enhancing drugs. Rahul Ramesh Shivale of Shiv Sena said efforts should be made to give sportspersons dope-free supplements. Shogita Roy of TMC supported the bill, saying that the legislation has been finalized on the basis of the report of the Standing Committee. He said the government has brought this bill to prohibit the doping activities. Chandeshwar Prasad of the JDU supported the bill, saying that no sportsperson can take undue advantage once the legislation comes into act. Bhartuhari Mahtab of the BJD said that the legislation will desist and discourage the athletes and their coaches from indulging in unethical practices of getting good results in sports. He also suggested making some provisions in the current bill that coaches should also be held responsible if involved in doping activities. Shyam Singh Yadav of the BSP suggested for making the NADA an independent authority. P. Ravindra Nath of the AIADMK spoke in support of the bill, saying that it will strengthen anti-doping activities in sports in compliance with the provisions of the UNESCO International Convention. Colonel Rajvardhan Singh Rathore of the BJP said that due to the efforts of the current dispensation, youth of the country are getting attracted towards sports and making it their career. He listed various schemes like Khelo India, Fit India and Target Olympic Podium scheme, which are providing a platform to the young sportspersons to showcase their talent. Bhimrao Basavnath Rao Patil of the TMC, Supriya Sule of the NCP and K. Ram Mohan Naidu of the TDP also participated in the discussion. And replying to the debate, Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur said the proposed law will further strengthen anti-doping provisions in the country and make it of international standards. It will enhance India's reputation. He said many countries, including the US, Australia, South Korea and Japan, had already adopted anti-doping laws. India will now join these countries to have its own anti-doping law. The special law will lead to creation of anti-doping testing facilities and will widen the scope of investigations. Earlier, Shogita Roy of the TMC urged the government to immediately withdraw the Agnipath military recruitment scheme in the interest of the country, citing the protests by youth and security concerns expressed by experts. Raising the issue in the Lok Sabha during discussion on matters of urgent public importance, Roy said soldiers would be recruited for 4 years only under the Agnipath scheme with no retirement benefits like pension and medical insurance. Though the House began running smoothly from 2 p.m., its proceedings were earlier marred by opposition members protesting over issues including price rise. The protests forced Speaker Om Birla to adjourn the House after just 20 minutes of business, even though the government assured that it was ready to start a debate on price rise today itself. As soon as the House met at 11 a.m., the opposition demanded the revocation of the order suspending 4 Congress members, Manikam Tagore, Ramya Hardas, T.N. Pratapan and S. Jyotimani, who were on Monday suspended for the rest of the session for staging protests and carrying placards inside the House. Responding to the appeals by the opposition members, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi said, with the Speaker's permission, the government is ready to agree to the proposal of withdrawing their suspension but asked to ensure that they do not enter the well of the House with placards. The Speaker tried to run the House despite the protests and allowed Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav and Coal Minister Prahlad Joshi to reply to supplementaries related to their respective ministries. When the protests grew louder, Birla appealed to the opposition members to go back to their seats, saying House rules and regulations were framed by the MPs themselves and they should not violate them. He said carrying placards and shouting slogans inside the House is not allowed. Such improper behavior is not good and members should take part in the debate. That's what he said. Joshi, who is also the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, said Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has returned after recovering from a recent bout of illness and the government was ready for a debate on price rise today itself. Prahlad Joshi also said that the opposition does not want to participate in the debate and that is why they are staging protests. Some of the opposition-ruled states did not even reduce taxes on fuel and hence want to run away from the debate. As the pandemonium continued, the Speaker adjourned the House till 12 noon. When it met at 2 p.m. after the second adjournment, NCP leader Supriya Sule said the opposition is willing to cooperate with the government for the smooth functioning of the House. Echoing her views, TMC's Sudeep Bandyopadhyay also said the suspension of 4 members be revoked if it is a feeling of the House. Thereafter, the House took up a discussion on National Anti-Doping Bill 2021. Let's also now tell you what happened in the Rajya Sabha as well. Well, the Rajya Sabha today continued to witness protests by opposition members on issues like price rise and Gujarat Hooch tragedy. The House was adjourned till 12 noon following protests. When the House met for the day, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu rejected adjournment notices moved by members from Congress, TMC, Left, Aam Aadmi Party and Samajwadi Party. Sanjay Singh of the Aam Aadmi Party was suspended for the remainder of the week for his unruly behaviour. When the House reassembled after first adjournment at noon, Deputy Chairperson Harivansh said that yesterday Sanjay Singh tore a paper and threw it towards a chair. He said Sanjay Singh's unruly behaviour has disregarded the authority and disregarded it of the chair. Responding to this, Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs V. Muralidharan moved a motion to invoke Rule 256 to suspend Sanjay Singh for the remaining part of the week for his unruly behaviour. The motion was adopted by a voice vote. When the House met after the second adjournment at 12:18 p.m., suspended member Sanjay Singh refused to leave the House despite repeated appeals by Deputy Chairperson Harivansh. He continued to protest over his suspension and Gujarat Hooch tragedy. This forced the chair to adjourn the House till 2 p.m. When the House met after the third adjournment at 2 p.m., suspended member Sanjay Singh again refused to leave the House and came into the well shouting slogans. The presiding officer urged him to leave the House, but in vain. Later, he adjourned the House for the day. And that's all we have for the time being as far as Parliament news is concerned, but all the latest continues right here on DD India. Stay with us.